Ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
This time, it's all about lessons from history's heavy hitters.
Oh, I like this one.
We're talking Lincoln, Curie, Gandhi, Da Vinci,
all the greats.
Parks, and Mandela.
Wow, that's a lot of ground to cover.
I know, right? But we're not just going for a quick rundown here.
So like a real deep dive.
Exactly. We're going to really unpack their stories, see how their wisdom applies to our lives today.
You know, their struggles, their triumphs.
Their challenges, their aspirations.
And how we can learn from them.
Exactly.
That's what makes history so fascinating.
Right, absolutely. These figures, even though they lived in completely different times and faced unique challenges, they offer timeless insights.
Totally.
So let's start with Abraham Lincoln.
Okay, like him.
I mean, we all know he led the U.S. through the Civil War, preserved the Union, ended slavery.
That's a big deal.
Huge. But his journey to the White House was, well, let's just say it wasn't exactly a smooth ride.
What do you mean?
Failed businesses, one after another.
Really? I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah, tons of them. And election losses, some of them brutal.
Wow. So not an overnight success story.
Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
He also dealt with some really tough personal tragedies, loss of loved ones, you name it. But he just kept going.
That's resilience.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what was his secret? How did he deal with all those setbacks and not just give up?
It's easy to think, well, he was Lincoln, destined for greatness. You know.
Right, like it was all inevitable.
Exactly. But the thing is, he wasn't just passively enduring those challenges. He had a system.
A system?
Yeah, for dealing with setbacks. He actually sought out different perspectives.
You mean like from his advisors?
Sure, advisors, but also critics, people who disagreed with him.
That's interesting. Why would he do that?
Because he knew that every challenge, every opposing viewpoint held a potential lesson. It wasn't about always being right. It was about finding the best path forward, even if it meant acknowledging his own blind spots.
That's a powerful way to approach any problem, really. Not just in politics, but in life.
Right. It's like instead of getting defensive when someone criticizes you, you actually lean into it.
Try to understand where they're coming from.
Exactly. See if maybe they're seeing something you're not.
Okay, that's a great takeaway from Lincoln.
For sure.
So let's move on to someone who broke barriers like no other, Marie Curie.
Oh, wow, Marie Curie, what a legend.
Talk about a force of nature. First woman to win a Nobel Prize, and get this.
What?
She's still the only person to have won Nobel Prizes in 2 different scientific fields.
No, what?
Physics and chemistry. I mean, come on.
That's mind-blowing.
And to think she did all of this while dealing with the intense sexism of her time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, back then, women in science were practically unheard of.
It's hard to even imagine what she must have gone through to get to where she did.
Right. Just to even be allowed to study science, let alone excel in it.
It's a testament to her incredible determination, her absolute refusal to let societal expectations define her.
She was a true trailblazer.
Absolutely. Her story just makes you wonder, what amazing things could we all achieve if we weren't held back by outdated norms and expectations?
It's a great question. I mean, think about the barriers we still face today. The limitations we put on ourselves or that society puts on us.
Yeah.
What could we accomplish if we took a page from Curie's book and just went for it, regardless of what others might say or think?
That's a powerful message.
For sure.
Okay, ready for our next stop on this historical journey?
Bring it on.
Let's talk about Mahatma Gandhi.
Gandhi, the power of nonviolence.
Exactly. The more I learn about him, the more I'm blown away by how he turned nonviolent resistance into such a force for change.
I know, it's incredible.
I mean, think about it. He led India to independence from British rule without ever resorting to violence.
A truly remarkable feat.
It really is.
Yeah.
And his ideas didn't just stay in India.
No, they spread like wildfire.
They inspired so many other movements around the world. The civil rights movement in the U.S., the anti-apartheid struggle in South Africa.
The list goes on and on.
It's a reminder that peaceful protest, based on principles of justice and equality, can have a profound impact.
Absolutely.
And it makes you wonder, how can we apply those same principles in our own lives, in our communities? How can we be agents for positive change without resorting to violence?
Yeah, that's a question worth asking ourselves.
It really is.
Yeah.
Because even though most of us aren't facing the same scale of oppression that Gandhi and his followers were up against,
Right.
there are always injustices, large and small, that we can choose to address.
And we can do it in a way that's constructive, that promotes understanding and dialogue, rather than just fueling more division and conflict.
Exactly. Okay, let's switch gears a bit now.
Okay.
Let's talk about someone who was truly ahead of his time, Leonardo da Vinci.
Da Vinci. the ultimate Renaissance man.
The original Renaissance man. I mean, this guy was a painter, a sculptor, an inventor, a scientist, an engineer, a musician.
Was there anything he couldn't do?
Seriously. He was just overflowing with creativity and curiosity in every direction.
And he excelled in all of them.
It's almost mind-boggling.
It really is.
But I think what's really inspiring about Da Vinci is that he shows us the power of being multifaceted, of embracing a wide range of interests.
Yeah, I mean, in today's world, we're often encouraged to specialize, to pick a lane and stick to it.
Become an expert in one very narrow field.
Exactly. But Da Vinci reminds us that there's so much to be gained from exploring different disciplines, from connecting seemingly unrelated ideas.
It's like he anticipated the interconnectedness of our modern world, where technology, art, and science are constantly influencing each other.
Totally. I mean, who knows what amazing breakthroughs we could have if we all took a page from Da Vinci's book and embraced a more holistic approach to learning and problem solving.
Maybe we'd all be flying around in our own personal flying machines by now.
Maybe.
Okay, from the Renaissance to the Civil Rights era, let's talk about someone whose small act of courage sparked a movement. Rosa Parks.
Ah, Rosa Parks.
We all know the story, right?
Yeah.
Refusing to give up her seat on that segregated bus in Montgomery, Alabama.
An iconic moment in history.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it's a powerful reminder that sometimes even seemingly small acts of defiance can have massive ripple effects.
It's crucial to remember the context here, though. The Jim Crow South, the deeply ingrained segregation, the constant threat of violence for Black Americans.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So while her action might seem simple on the surface, it was incredibly brave.
Absolutely. It was a direct challenge to the power structure of that time.
And it helped spark a movement that ultimately led to the dismantling of segregation in the U.S.
It's a testament to the power of individual action, of standing up for what's right, even when it's hard, even when it's dangerous.
Right.
Her story makes me think, what change do we want to see in our world? And what's our first step, however small it may seem, toward creating that change?
Every movement starts with a single step.
Exactly.
And sometimes that step takes incredible courage.
For sure.
But history has shown us time and again that those steps, taken by ordinary people, can lead to extraordinary change.
Absolutely.
Okay, ready for our last historical figure.
I am, but I think I already know who it is.
Let's talk about Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela, a man who spent 27 years in prison for fighting against apartheid.
27 years.
And then emerged, not with bitterness and rage, but with forgiveness and a vision for reconciliation.
That's incredible.
It's almost superhuman, right?
It really is. Most people would be consumed by anger after an experience like that.
I know I would.
But Mandela understood that to truly heal a nation as deeply divided as South Africa, there had to be forgiveness.
It's such a powerful example of leadership, of putting the needs of the country above his own personal pain and resentment.
Absolutely. He showed the world that forgiveness, while incredibly difficult, can be a powerful force for healing and progress.
It makes you think about our own lives, too. How often do we hold on to anger, to grudges?
Yeah, it's easy to get stuck in those negative emotions.
It really is. But Mandela's story challenges us to consider how letting go of those feelings, however hard it might be, could open up new possibilities for growth and connection.
It's like holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right.
It only hurts us in the end.
Wow, so we've journeyed from Lincoln's perseverance to Mandela's forgiveness.
From Curie's determination to Da Vinci's boundless curiosity.
From Gandhi's nonviolent resistance to Parks's quiet courage.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
What stands out to you the most?
That's a tough one. It's incredible how these figures from different times and places all faced immense challenges, but ultimately found ways to overcome them, to leave the world a better place than they found it.
Exactly. And their stories offer us so much guidance, so much inspiration for our own lives.
So what will your story be?
How will you use these lessons to make your mark on the world?
It's a question worth pondering.
It really is. Because history is still being written, and each of us has the power to be a part of it.
Until next time.
See you then.